Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check out the episode today. Always happy to have you guys around. And we're going to be talking about the Core Tackle Ozark rig today. And there's three different lures, guys, that you want to use with the Ozark rig that gets you more bites, it lands more fish than a traditional Texas rig, just with these three lures specifically from my experience. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about this, how to rig it, how to set it up, why it gets more bites, and definitely think it's going to help you guys catch some more fish. And also, guys, I will include the Ozark rig in my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to pick up some. Comes in several different sizes, several different hook sizes, several different weights to match the soft plastic that you're rigging it with. So you can get that through my tackle warehouse link in the description there. And also, guys, real quick, one thing that I wanted to share with you guys, if I can find it, oh, here it is. One of the things that you always want to use with your soft plastic lures, guys, is some type of a scent. You know, when you're fishing a soft plastic lure, these bass will nose down on that, and a dog has a higher sense of smell, or excuse me, a bass has a higher sense of smell than a dog. So when they're that close to that bait, they can smell it. So the scent I have been using, guys, I love it, is this new bait pop, guys. It's got real amino acids, real fish scent, stays on the bait for a long time. You just rub it on, you know, just like this. It's got sparkles in it, stays on for like 30 minutes on there. And when those fish get close to it, they can smell it. It makes them bite it. So I'll put the bait pop link also in my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to pick up a bunch of different flavors and colors. So I think you guys would really like that. Okay, guys, if you've never seen this, let me sort of explain to you guys why this Ozark rig works better than a Texas rig. This is basically designed to take the place of a Texas rig, and the reason it works better on these three lures is you can see the lead is evenly distributed through the entire shank of the bait. So on a Texas rig, you got the weight up on, you know, just the head of the lure, which makes the lure just drop straight down like a rock. With the with the Ozark rig, since you have this weight distributed throughout the shank of the hook, it creates more of a glide with the bait. Now, some baits you want to drop straight into the cover, if you know, depending upon the type of cover you're fishing, if you're over a limb or something like that. But there's some baits that you want the bait to glide down. You catch more fish on it. And that's the three baits that I'm going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about rigging these three baits, which is some type of a flat-sided creature bait. This is a Zoom Z-Craw, or you could use like a beaver or just some type of a flat bait. I'll explain why. And then we're going to talk about the tube, and then we're going to talk about the soft plastic stick bait. Now, the reason that I use the Ozark rig with these three baits is the gliding effect, sort of like that 60 to 45 degree angle fall rate with it. And when you're pitching and flipping these baits around whatever target that you're fishing, you could be pitching it up underneath the boat dock, along the edge of a tree, along the edge of a grass bed, whatever, into lay down log or something like that. When that bait is falling, it falls not only more horizontal, but it also sort of like curls. When it falls, it's sort of like it twists in the water like that. It doesn't just bloop like a rock, like a Texas rig. So this is an excellent setup for when the bass are really keen on a bait visually. So therefore, I like it in a little bit cleaner water, like water visibility over about 1.5 feet or so, simply because the way this bait falls, it gets their attention on the way down. So there is a little bit of a learning curve on how to rig this, but it's easy to do once you do a few of them. So I'm going to go through each one of these and show you guys how I rig each one of them. Now the tube is a little bit more, probably a little bit more, not labor intensive, but takes a little bit more practice. But one of the things you want to do with the tube is just, rough it up a little bit, get it soft. And then you want to cut it about halfway up like this. So you're going to put it in like that. And then the next thing that you're going to do is just take it and you want to come through about 1/4 inch from the head and just push it into the tube, because the tube is hollow up there. And then you push the head through, and then you run the eye out the top there. So you see the eyes right out the top. And then you come back in your groove that you made. You got the split right here. And the reason you split it is because you don't have, quite as much plastic to penetrate once you do set it up. Come all the way through. bring your hook point out the back there, and then you're going to straighten it up, and then you've got your tube like this. So when you rig it like this, you got the weight underneath it, and this tube, when you pitch it in there, it'll sort of spiral down like that on the way down as it glides. It doesn't just drop like a rock, it just sort of spirals like that. Super appealing to the fish visually as they come through there. Okay guys, sorry about that little glitch there. My storage on my iPhone got full. I don't know what the deal is with that. I got the iPhone 16, and it's like, I don't know how to take the I don't know how to give it more storage, because I've deleted like everything that I don't use on there. So I don't know if you can buy more storage or if I have to get a different phone or what, but anyway, it just cuts the video off once in a while. Okay, let's get into the other two, guys. The other two I'm gonna show you how to rig is the creature bait, or any type of a flat-sided, beaver type, Z-crawl bait, and the soft plastic stick bait. These are the two that I use on there. Now, one of the reasons that I use the Ozark rig on a flat-sided creature bait is it gives it sort of a keel effect. Again, with the flat side on the creature bait, you get a lot more strikes if the thing falls like that instead of just dropping like a rock. So in this case, you don't push it through on this one because it'll tear it too much. So you just want to take it and just come through about, probably ½ inch or so. I like to come through. And when you're coming through, guys, one of the important things is really be careful when you're coming through on this head that you don't tear it too much, because that's one of the things that can happen if you don't. But come through about like that, and then rotate it like this, like that. And then you're gonna just come through and rig it, traditionally up through like that. So got it setting like this. And guys, this is I probably caught more fish on the Ozark rig with this type of the bait setup than anything else. So again, you got this gliding pendulum action down side like that. And then on a soft plastic stick bait, this is what you got to really be careful for, because, they tend to have a lot of salt in it. So come through the same way, about ½ inch. Gently like that. Just take your time, go nice and slow. Rotate it around like that. And then bunch it up a little bit and come through the bait. So you got it setting like that. Now, if it's not real snaggy, say for example, if I'm pitching it like to dock pilings or on the edge of cover like this, I usually always like to leave. See, I got that hook point out a little bit. I usually leave that hook point out a little bit there. That really, helps to hook it up. But, if it's snaggy or something like that, I'll just come through and, just barely put it in like that. But guys, this is an excellent, presentation that you cannot get with any type of a Texas rig like that. Just blends in perfectly with it. Completely different fall. Now, one of the things about it is, like, when you're talking about pitching and flipping a bait, it's all about the rate of sink to generate bites a lot of time, and it's about the angle of descent. That's why if you've watched some of my videos, I talk about like line size, about how using a heavier line will have that bait come to more of a glide. And sometimes you want that. Not all the time. Like sometimes the fish want the bait dropped straight down on them. Say for example, if you're pitching and flipping into like some matted vegetation or matted hyacinths, or if you're flipping and pitching in a thick bush or something like that, you do want that bait just to get straight down. So I still use a Texas rig. I don't use the Ozark rig for everything, because when I want that bait to go straight down fast, I'm using the Texas rig. But on the clean situations, guys, when you're dealing with a visual strike, again, water visibility about 1.5 feet, more of a clean target, I've been going to the Ozark rig for everything. Now, let me lay you out the ideal situation for this with these 3 baits. First of all, let's talk about the type of cover with it. You can pitch and flip this thing into cover. Don't get me wrong. Like if there's a lay down tree with like 15 branches in it, yeah, I can flip and pitch in there because it's open enough where it can glide down in there. But what I'm talking about is if there's like a piling in the water, or a dock piling, or the edge of a rock, or along a seawall, or a lay down log or stump in the water, or the edge of a grass bed, something like that, where it's a fairly clean presentation and in water visibility of 1 to greater feet. Probably the ideal water visibility that I use for the Ozark rig is about 2.5 to 4 foot of visibility, a little bit cleaner, again, because you got the visual fall with that. And water temperatures anywhere between 55 on up to 80 degrees or whatever. Now, the line test that I use with it is depending upon the bait. Most of the time when I'm using the Ozark rig, guys, I'm using these 3 lures right here. So I can get away with a little bit heavier line. So most of the time I'm fishing it on 17-pound test Seagar and VizX line. I don't go to the heavy lines like I do with the Texas rig, because with the Texas rig and the jig, I'll use 20, 25-pound test line a lot. This is a little bit more of a finesse presentation with the Ozark rig. So I don't bomb them with the heavy line. I found that 17 works really good with that. And usually I'm just using my flipping stick, the same thing. But anyway, guys, give it a try. It's a different presentation. Like I said, it's all about the presentation with the fish. You have to generate strikes. You have to make those fish into biting. You have to trick those fish into biting. And this is one way you can do it with the Ozark rig. Again, I'll put Ozark rig link and my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video here. Like I said, a lot of different sizes, colors, and everything. One little tip that I will give you that I've had some pretty good success on, a lot of times, guys, if I'm using a green pumpkin or a watermelon colored bait, I like to paint the lead on there red with some red fingernail polish. If I'm using a dark bait like a black and blue or June bug, I'll leave it black, but I've done pretty good by painting that lead on there red with it. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you catch some more fish. I'm pretty confident it will. We'll check in later.